Welcome to Trek Table, your Sunday weekly podcast holding Trek space for
Black, Indigenous, Brown,
women of color,
queer or otherwise,
and our allies. Hey, I'm your host, Dayla, and today I'm holding Trek space for the fly who say let's fly, aka Captain Michael Burnham and all those women of color leaders who are finally getting to sit and stand and embody in that leadership chair.
Hello, I am your co host Claudia, and today I am holding Trek Space for the joyful beginning of a journey.
Hi, I'm your co host Maya, and I'm holding Trek Space for our international Trek fans who've suddenly been separated from the Federation and not able to watch season 4 with all of us. I'm really sad about that. But I hope that you all have created your own syndicate and are finding ways to find your needs met in it.
Yes, and let's go ahead and invite folks in the chat to go ahead and share with us on YouTube chat. What are you holding Trek space for? Yeah. And as we do that, let's go ahead and say welcome to the Trek Table. We want to next acknowledge that our teams for the Trek Table are on the unceded land of the Tongva, the Chumash, the Quiche, the Ohlone, the Puyallup, Pawtucket, and Massachusetts peoples. We are grateful to the indigenous stewards of these lands, the ancestors who have come before, and those who are here now, and those who have yet to come. We invite our listeners and our viewers to also acknowledge and learn about the lands that they are on. So let's go ahead and breathe all that in. Go ahead, take a breath, breathe in. And exhale. Yes, and we want to say thank you to everybody joining us live on the YouTube chat and in the podcast for holding Trek space for women of color. We are excited to hold this for our live digital audience on the Outside In Theaters YouTube channel, as well as those listening on our podcast.
Our opening track is titled Chicana Skies by the band Quetzal, off their album Quetzal. You'll be hearing several tracks by Quetzal throughout this episode of Trek Table. Follow them at Quetzal Music or Instagram and see our show notes or the chat for a link to their merchandise and more.
Yes, and we want to say welcome to episode 33 of the Trek Table. Thanks for showing up for this conversation with women of color as we are assembled today to talk about Star Trek Discovery Season 4, Episode 1. What's up, Season 4 premiere? We are so excited. If you have not seen it, you're going to want to check it out on Paramount Plus, as we have said, if you are in the US and Canada. We don't want to give it spoilers, so we're just going to say spoiler zone in full effect. We're going to move forward like you've seen it, so guard your ears. We love and care for your spoiler zone. So we want to say welcome back. Today we have a really great episode. We are going to talk about this first episode, Kobayashi Maru. Anybody else feel like you need to talk about this? Because we do so many things. We get to see how Starfleet Academy gets restarted. We get to really get a sense of whether or not Kobayashi Maru is now a new metaphor for the unending tests for women of color, and not just the unwinnable tasks as it has been in Star Trek. Excited to hear Claudia and Maya break all this down for us. And we're just going to hold a lot of space for Book and all of the empaths. And we're having Quajon feelings right now. So I just want to acknowledge all those things. So many things today.
Yes, and if you're as happy as we are that Trek Table is holding space for Discovery and other Trek fans, then we invite you to share that joy with us by becoming a supporter at patreon.com/TrekTable.
So that we can build with each other, how do you enter this conversation? As a Star Trek fan, are you Star Trek curious? Are you a newbie, an OG Trekkie? Star Trekking family, Star Trekking femme, Star Trek zaddy, Trek baby? Let us know in the chat.
Awesome, and welcome back to the Trek Table. This week's episode 33, we are breaking down Star Trek Discovery Season 4, Episode 1, Kobayashi Maru. It just premiered on Paramount Plus, and we're going to dive into this episode a couple of different ways. We've got some Trek Table questions. Thanks, Claudia. We're going to play a little bit of popcorn recap and see if we can't understand the events of this episode. We'll also talk a little bit about Discovery design and get into some of this new fashion, this new tech, and all the different things. I have questions about Kaminar. We're going to also talk about Thematix. So we'll dive into some topics today about Burnham and this title. We'll talk about Kaminar, Quajon, and more. We'll then also jump into some signal boosts. That's something we like to do here on the Trek table. So we've got some signals to boost today. We'll share our final thoughts on this episode, and then we'll share gratitude. All right. So we're so excited that everybody is here, and we want to show you our practice. If you're new to the Trek table, if you have joined us before, welcome back. We're just going to check in really quick so we know who's talking about, who's at the table, where are people coming from. So we're going to invite folks to go around, share your name, your pronouns, your visual description, and any access check-in. And finally, as we heard Maya ask us before we went to the break, how do you enter as a Star Trek fan? And just to model and support, I'll go first today. Hey, I'm Dela. My pronouns are she, he, they, and Dela. Visual access, I'm a mixed Filipinx person. I've got dark black hair that's got some blue up in it. I am sitting in front of the hallway on the USS Discovery, season 2, 3. I'm going to double check these hallways this season. And my access check-in is that I'm just a little discombobulated because I broke the tech on my cell phone, so I'm feeling my interdependence with technology these days. But other than that, I'm so good. And in terms of how I identify as a Star Trek fan, I would definitely say I'm a Star Trek head, and I fell in love with Next Generation. But if I were sci-fi poly, which I am, disco would be my primary, and that's me. Claudia, can I invite you to go ahead and check in?
Indeed. Hello, everyone. My name is Claudia. My pronouns are they, there. You can also use she, her. My visual description, I'm an African American woman with a big old afro. I got my headphones into my Star Trek t shirt. I am sitting in a projection of the original Star Trek deck, kind of trying to like hold a middle space between where Spock and Uhura would be. That's really where I am in all of my dreams. And my access check-in is that I'm actually in the middle of a flare, so you might see me. I'm physically disabled, so you might see me pull a face. I'm never pulling a face at one. Well, I'm rarely pulling a face at one of your Star Trek opinions. Generally, I'm pulling a face because one of my muscles is pulling me. Other than that, I've got my tea, Earl Grey, hot. And all of my access needs are met. And I identify as a polyamorous science fiction. I watch all of them. I've been deeply, deeply revisiting some Dune lately, like the entire series, right? But I'm also generational Star Trek. It was given to me by my mother, and I am spreading it to the next generation.
I am Maya. My pronouns are she, her, and hers. Um, I am a Latinx Guatemalan mestiza, and I am sitting in between these two cuties, Detmer and Awosakun, on the bridge. That's in my background. I have magenta, purplish hair, and most of my access needs are kind of met. I don't know if they'll ever be met, but I think about that and I appreciate that question. I used to watch a little bit of Star Trek Next Generation as a kid and in reruns and some of the original series, but I'm sort of a newbie here. I'm the one who's going to ask questions. I have no fear. I don't care. I love being in this conversation anyway, and so I've adopted a little Star Trek femme swagger. I'm sci-fi curious, and
Mhm.
I'm here just to encourage all of us to be creative and figure out this Star Trek metaphor for life.
Yes, yes. Thank you so much, Maya. And thank you, Claudia. Our final bit of business before we actually jump into these conversations today is just to welcome all of that. And we want to get into our Trek table agreements. So if you're joining our conversation today, we want to say welcome to all who enter. Whether you're a newbie or you're raised in a Star Trekking family, welcome. Let's build this space together.
Whether you use Trek Table as your nerdy exploration or as part of your self care ritual, Trek Table is a weekly space to put down the world for a second and come into Trek space.
This is a space for Black, Brown, Indigenous, women of color to be a fan, a geek, a nerd, and explore the vastness of the Star Trek multiverse.
Yes, Trek Table is also a place for our allies to come engage and explore as well. It's an opportunity for allies to hold space, focus on insights and perspectives or experiences that we or you may not be familiar with.
And now that we are all here, we remind you that we seek to build an environment of mutual respect and listening. We understand that we'll disagree, and that is actually part of the fun, but there's enough hate going on out there. So let's keep our phasers on stun.
Yes, yes. All right. So let's go ahead and breathe in all these agreements. Go ahead and take a breath in through your nose and out through your mouth. Yes.
Oh, and that brings us to our Trek Table questions posed to our Trek Table assembled here and to those of y'all participating in the Outside In YouTube channel chat. So, who are you pre-shipping? Right? Like, what's your favorite couple, real or imagined, for season 4 of Star Trek Discovery? Who are we excited about being in love?
Mira que regresa el maldito. Viene con las manos llenitas de piedra que no quiere arrojar.
Welcome back. So I'm here with Trek Table question number 1, the most fundamental and important question. Who are you pre-shipping? Who between season 3 and season 4 were you dreaming about falling in love? Or who did you see in this first episode and go, oh, I'm going to be imagining y'all being together? Who are you pre-shipping, y'all? I'm excited to find out. Let me start with you, Maya.
I need another party on this in this season. I don't know if they're gonna get it or some holodeck fun. But how about Owosukun and Detmer? I mean, all those longing looks. It's the workplace. I
Mhm.
I'm wondering whether they already have something going on that they're keeping it real
Mm.
chill, or if something actually is going to happen for us as audience members.
Well,
Yes.
did y'all see there's a bar? There's a bar this season. Wilson Cruz and Anthony Rapp.
All
There's
right.
promo shots of them at a bar, and so I mean, someone put it in the Twitter comments, but was like, yeah, 10 forward much? Like, hex yeah, I'm ready for it. I'm ready for it. So Maya, yes to what you were just saying.
I mean, there's just so much stress, they need to be able to relax. Not everybody's got a drink, but yeah, some hangout time. Yeah, some downtime. Absolutely. What about Claudia?
Well,
Who are you?
I'm just wondering, did you all see the new bridge crew officer? I want to say his name. I've already forgotten his name, y'all. I'm
Lieutenant
sloppy.
Christopher. Lieutenant Christopher.
Yeah, yeah, so Lieutenant Christopher.
Lieutenant
Yeah,
Christopher.
yeah, he was brand new, but I was
Mm-hmm.
already seeing sparks between him and Bryce. Is it Bryce? I
Mm-hmm.
mix up
Mm-hmm.
Bryce and
Bryce.
Reese all the time. Oh yeah,
Yeah,
him and
Lieutenant
Bryce.
Bryce.
I feel like him and Bryce are already a thing, and that's what we were seeing. We were seeing two folks where it's like, oh yeah, no, we've already been on we've been on 2 dates
Mm-hmm.
in one of the holodecks, and
Mm-hmm.
now we're just flirting.
You can cover my shift. I love it. I love it. Okay, so I'll just say I don't want to counter what Maya just said in terms of pre-shipping. Yes, I want to say I'm here for a Wosakun and Detmer. I'm here for it. I'm here for it. I'm here for it. If it doesn't happen, I am here for Reno and a Wosakun because they fixed that dot 23 at the end of season 3. There was like some smiles, and I don't know. Do they each need a gearhead to just kind of like say, hey, boo, pass the the 3188 wrench? Like, how do you I don't know. So I'm excited about that. That's what I would put out there.
Ooh, I love that. And also, I wouldn't be mad. Like, why not both? Why can't we have all the drama? That would be fabulous. I would not be mad at all of those plot points. From our audience, we have Maya Millslow. Hello, Maya Mama, in the audience.
Hi, Maya Mama.
Pre-shipping for a next Sapio friend partner for Tilly. Yes. Tilly has had to
Mm.
travel all the way to the future and has lost two really deep fundamental connections that she made in those previous seasons. Now I don't know how time works in the mushroom universe, so maybe her friend who is a being in the mushroom universe could actually reconnect with her far in the future. We don't know, but we want some love for Tilly. Tilly let me we have Satterfield in the audience being like Tilly's going to cause an interspecies incident. And we also have someone in the audience saying they
Yes.
would love to see a Saru love story.
Yes. Well, he and President Tarina, right, from Navarre, she's coming back. They said,
Yeah,
"I want to
they
send you
were like,
longing looks across the space miles."
yeah, they
I
were
mean,
like
and
good
there's
to
always
know
like
mild.
they can have intellectual crushes too as well. I think that's
Mm-hmm.
super healthy and fun. I mean,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh well, I am so
Yes.
delighted to see if we see some new loves. We also have characters we have not met yet that are definitely going to come, and they're going to be giving us some wonderful love drama. Thank you for indulging me in a conversation about pre-shipping. We haven't even gotten enough to really ship stuff, but we're already there. And that was Trek Table question number one. Trek Table is proud to be a part of the digital theater platform at Outside In Theater. Like and subscribe to the Outside In YouTube channel for our weekly live digital recordings. Listening on the podcast? You can check it out at youtube.com/outside in theater.
And with that song, Matanzas by Quetzal, we know it's time for popcorn recap. If you haven't participated with us before, the game is simple. We have 2.5 minutes to share the chunklets of plot from this week's episode.
Today we're talking about Star Trek Discovery Season 4, Episode 1, Kobayashi Maru, written by Michelle Paradise, Jenny Lumet, and Alex Kurtzman, and directed by Olatunde Osunsanmi.
Yes, and we think it's funny because Maya is a Star Trek newbie, kind of. Claudia comes from a generational Trek family, and I love minutia. We're not sure if we can tell you this story, but can we get it done?
Incoming transmission.
Oh, the opening. Book and Burnham are on a diplomatic mission on a defensive kind of butterfly planet, and they freak out about Grudge being a queen. I knew this was going to happen. Disco fixes their planetary navigation system. Oh, so nice. Even though they didn't ask, but to be helpful, they are as grateful as Grudge is. Lots of fun shooting and fighting.
Another planet, Kaminar. On Kaminar, the Baul and the Kelpians, they're actually like part of their own society now, and they meet in a synod that's like kind of underground or something, and they're trying to decide what to do with Sukal. And like Saru is like an elder and says really wise thing, and also there's no need to worry about Sukal. He won't bring out another burn. It's all good.
And then meanwhile, Book is like, I'm going to go to Quajon, and you're going to be all right as you do this speechy thing, Michael.
Yes, and Michael does the speech to celebrate the reopening of the Starfleet Academy, not so much into the new president of the Federation.
Oh,
Politicians.
and we also see Admiral Vance finally reconnected with his wife and child. Yay! And the bridge crew, they're all thriving. They're so happy. But Tilly looks a little like not unhappy, but like not happy. What's up? What's up, Tilly?
Yeah, and meanwhile, the President Relik, Lara Relik, she has decided she's going to join Discovery. She wants to see firsthand because she doesn't want to ask anyone to do something that she wouldn't do. So she goes on this mission to help this Starbase Deep Space Beta repair ship 9, I believe it is 6. So they go looking to try to help this ship in distress. Meanwhile, Adira's boyfriend Gray is looking forward to getting a real body somehow.
Okay, 50 more seconds. Book and Brother have a coming of age ceremony for Book's nephews. Super cute. They connect to the roots of the planet and mix sap and family blood, and then they see the birds flying. Uh-oh.
And then the station is hit by a distortion, and this is the deep space station. And so Commander Null is at the station. He works with Tilly and Adira to try and fix it. And this is Adira's first away mission.
And then the station is hit by more waves and they need to escape. And then Captain Burnham decides she has to fly down and help release the escape pod on the station. And the president disapproves vocally.
And Sukal convinces Saru, go back to Discovery. I'm fine. Michael Burnham's ship is hit by a rock, but it's super scary at first, but she's fine. And then she uses her super, dare I say, sexy spacesuit.
And then Commander Nollis, he pulls a finger on Tilly because he's going to try a dangerous plan to save everybody. And the president talks Commander Nollis down, and then Michael frees the pod. Not enough, there's more plot.
So much happened.
All right, so we didn't quite do it. We got a little bit excited. There was a lot. There's some critical things. All right, we each get one more big chunklet. I will take the last of the space station. So they are able to free the crew from the space station. It takes 2 different trips, and on the way back, when they land in Discovery, Commander Nullis dies in the wreckage.
And then Book is flying around before dinner with family to see why the birds are freaking out. A gigantic wave hits his ship and knocks him out.
Yes, and then he returns, right? So like, it's like there's a bunch of stuff. First, like, the president and Michael, they have an entire conversation about the Kobayashi Maru and like all of that stuff. And basically like they were gonna offer maybe Michael a job, but like they decided that Michael is not ready for that job because she's like making wild decisions. And then Book returns and they go and they see, oh my gosh, Quayshawn is gone.
That was sad.
It was so sad.
Cliffhanger.
I was like dream
A
vacation.
mega cliffhanger. I know.
Yes.
Book had just shown Burnham his planet, previously to that. Yeah. So
Yes.
Book.
So thank you all for. I think we're all gonna feel the loss of Quajon for a while. Like I was not prepared. I did not. Anyways, all right. So
Well,
yes.
if you are looking for an act by act breakdown, one that's slightly more accurate than the one that we do, please check out Kennedy Allen's work at Women at Warp for a full breakdown.
Yes, and if you're having a good time with us, then let's keep the dialogue going. Follow us on Instagram at Trek Table or on Twitter at Trek_Table.
Welcome back and welcome to Discovery Design, where we're going to dish on some of these design elements giving us all this drama. So I have a few topics, but I also invite you all just to, join with your own. Can we just first start with the title sequence, because we've discussed this on previous seasons of Trek Table, how the title sequence is giving us clues, and it has a big spoiler in it. Anybody else notice that one?
I noticed some of the details because I've started to pay attention to it. Definitely still, there's still dilithium floating, so that's still a huge important thing. I noticed a minor change with the actual ship itself. So they put in some of the design elements of the outside of the ship.
There's definitely some new shapes. It looks like there's like two magnets or C's that like spread apart to become. There's some new locking mechanism or something going on. So I noticed that in the new title sequence.
And after the episode was over, I went back and reviewed the title sequence, and I saw that they had warned me about Quajon. They warned me in the title sequence, and I didn't look hard enough. Chichilla did.
Oh,
There was a moment where I was like, "Oh, this was telling me what the, like." If you go back
Okay.
and watch, you'll see it. You'll see it. Okay. All right. All right. Now I got to just say this. I don't know who I'm talking to. If I'm talking to Olatunde, yeah, I'm calling you by your first name. I don't know who I'm talking to, but y'all had a lot of design elements up in this show. Every single shot was either moving or had lights in it. Like it was like they were like, you know what? This might be our only episode. Let's put the entire budget into every single shot. So my even the costumes, like those dress uniforms, I was like, you have to have epaulets and gold filigree thingies and a sandwich. I'm like, y'all, it's beautiful, but you don't have to put everything, all of it, all in one episode. We're gonna watch more episodes. Again, I know that I have opinions. Was that just me?
They're definitely. I feel like.
Go ahead, Maya.
No, it's just. I mean, I definitely feel like they're. It's like the original Star Trek was so low budget. So it just makes me. That's what I was laughing about. Is this gorgeous design? I love. I love fashion, and I'm having lots of feelings about all of the multiple uniforms, trying to keep up. Back and forth, new and different. So I'll have more to say about that at another time. But yeah,
I saw some amazing art on Twitter where somebody had taken the dress, not even the dress uniform, but it somehow like made it fashion for Saru. So it took that like kind of asymmetry, made that pop out to like a thing, made it a huge long skirt. And I was like, wow. I'm now seeing how fashion forward all these uniforms are. But I'm like, just calm down.
Well, and I totally get it, and I'll say like I was having I was trying to understand, and then there was several shots in this episode where I just have to say I see the function of the design, because when the person wearing their uniform is able to stand in what I would call parade rest for like marching band people, like with their legs spread apart, that's their attention, right? So when they stand at attention, actually the jacket actually falls across their hips in such a way that just makes it look like intentional design, really smart, really subtle. And I noticed, not that I'm like spending the show watching everybody's crotch, but there were just a couple moments where I was like, what is up with that jacket? And then I saw it happen on different crew members, and I got it. And so I will just say I appreciate that Gersha Phillips and that team found a way to make uniforms for bigger hips or butt regions in a way that didn't make it like, look at the big butt. But it's like, oh, it's all subtle. Everybody's gonna go into, ready. Everybody's gonna go into attention. Let everybody look good in this shape. So that's one of the things that definitely jumped out at me.
Okay, I'm loving this. I am loving this, and I can't wait in future episodes to talk more about this fashion. I had no idea I'd be so into Star Trek fashion, but y'all, it's a
Mhm.
thing. I'm
Mhm.
wondering, can we talk a little bit about Book's ship? Because we got to see Book's ship. And
Yes.
actually, if you want to talk about any of the design elements you witnessed in that first section,
Mhm.
that was like its own mini movie, and it was super awesome
Yeah.
with the butterfly planet and all of that. Feel free to riff on any of those elements.
I feel like, yeah, seeing the way that Bookship can like reconfigure. We knew that in season 3, but I just feel like it got to be a little bit sharper, a little bit crisper, a little bit sleeker this season already, just in this first episode. And then just, I didn't know there were so many pods. Like, I how does Book have all the pods? Like, it's super awesome.
Yeah, and it
Oh,
pulls
I'm waiting.
apart and splits. Is that yeah,
Mhm.
that was just so I was like, "Ooh." I don't normally care about a ship and things, but it's really, it's
Mhm.
moving and then also just being on that other planet and those onesies, the
Mm.
white, all in
The
white
butterfly onesies.
caterpillars turned
Mhm.
butterflies, and then it's like the caterpillars, or I mean the butterflies swarm into those the wings and their faces even face become a face mask. Yeah, that was a lot of fun.
Oh my gosh,
Mhm.
so creative. And in fact, that you've got a ship that's modular. It reminds me of my favorite couch set where the couches can come together to be one big couch, but then they can also separate
Mhm.
to be different pieces of furniture. That's how I think
Mhm.
of Book Ship.
Yes.
That says a lot about me.
Yes.
But also the entire, like, the wings of these people as they come to attack folks. They have a symbiotic relationship with their planet. It's a modular
Mhm.
design where they all come, and like normally they'd be able to do it with just their instincts, but they have to get augmented help from those
Mhm.
satellites. I just thought that was some fascinating stuff. That said, we got a comment from our audience saying the Academy was looking a little dark, like in terms of like color palettes, and we should be paying attention to
Mhm.
this. Star Trek Discovery is it's telling us stories with the colors it's choosing. So I think our audience member is onto something, that there might be some darkness coming
Mhm.
from the Star Trek Academy, possibly. Big shout out though for the Archer space dock. Did anybody
Mhm.
catch the music sting when the Archer
Mhm.
space dock was introduced?
Yeah, definitely. I will say I am not up on my Enterprise watching, but as soon as I heard that theme, I've watched enough in the Star Trek fanverse to know themes, and I immediately was like, Archer. Oh, that must be Captain Archer from Enterprise. So even for somebody who didn't exactly know the Easter egg, it resonated for me definitely.
Yes, yes. And I gotta say, just a shout out to the way they're telling a story with light. They're telling a story with like the design elements that seem obvious to us, like special effects, but they're giving us like story and resonance with music, and that seems really powerful. I Another thing to observe is, first of all, you're seeing those floating dots all over. That's super fun. That feels like they're kind of normalizing the fact that this ship is alive and that the dots are around and that's a
Mhm.
thing. Nothing really happened in this episode with them, but I saw them a bunch, which makes me have crossed fingers. We're going to get more plot shenanigans with them, like we did in the finale of season 3.
Mhm.
Could we talk just a little bit about Kaminar? Because like that was some
Yes.
extreme cool design.
Mhm, mhm. So it took until the second or third rewatch to realize, oh, right, this is the Baul, and this is how they solved that problem, or this is how that evolution happened that we first got to potentially witness in season 3. And so to realize that the Kaminar, that the Baul and the Kelpians are having like Senate meeting or this council meeting underwater just felt really super beautiful. And I was like, I wanted to go on the Discovery ride that takes you to Kaminar Council. Like,
Mm.
Did
Mhm.
it seem like it was
Mhm.
below the surface? Or maybe it was repurposed from where Saru and his sister were kept. I was trying to
mm-hmm.
figure out the location
Oh,
of it.
yeah.
Yeah, so because of the way the Baul seem to not be able to exist outside of that space, so they
Mm-hmm.
seemed almost like jellyfish hanging
Mm.
in their own little
Mm-hmm.
areas around. But it was nice. They seemed like the power balance in the room was set up so that, everybody gets a say. Everybody gets a
Mm-hmm.
say. And then it's like, Elder Saru, what are you gonna say? I was like,
Mm-hmm.
yay, Saru.
It's also just like a really dramatic sign that they are in the future. Like the Kelpian planet is just it's real different. It's real different for them now that
Mm-hmm.
they're fully working with the Baul. I could go on and on about Quajan, but I feel like we might talk about Quajan and reflect on Quajan some more. So my last observation before we bring Discovery Design to a close is calm down, designers. Do we need to have so much open flame? When they're with so much shaking, so many sparks every time the ship got rocked, I was like, this must be the worst. And then it would get even more dramatic. Will they have anywhere to go? We're going to find out on the next episode. Thank you for indulging me in my small rant about awesome design on Discovery.
So we want to give a shout out to all our podcast subscribers. Thanks so much for joining us. Thanks for following us on Apple, Google, and Spotify. Like and subscribe. That really helps us out. And for all the places that you listen or watch our podcasts.
And as we head into our musical break, let me introduce to you Trek Table question number 2. This episode has us wondering, is not accepting failure a sign of resilience or denial?
Mira que regresa el maldito. Viene con las manos llenitas de piedra que no quiere arrojar.
Welcome back to the Trek Table podcast with Trek Table question number 2. And this is one that is reflecting really deeply on Kobayashi Maru. Is not accepting failure a sign of resilience or of denial? Dayla, I'm going to start with you because I know that you've got some opinions about the president, and those might taint or color. They might color your opinions, but I want to hear
Mm-hmm.
everything. What do you
Mm-hmm.
think?
I mean, I've been thinking about how it's not even about accepting failure because I think some of the conversation in this episode is Book as well as the president trying to talk to Burnham about this accepting of failure. Burnham did not fail this mission. The mission had to be achieved in a different way. So maybe processing the potential impact of the things I think would be how I would address this. I have to say that the not accepting of failure, it's a resiliency practice, and so it's easier to be in resiliency around failure when it doesn't have people's lives at stake. So I'll also
Hmm.
acknowledge that.
I'm realizing that I always do this. I give us these juicy questions and then I don't think about them until we're having our conversation on air. So you're always getting like my freshest take, possibly not my best take, but my freshest one. And I'm realizing that in my practice, I value failure. Failure is
Mm,
the thing that you use to learn. So failure isn't a thing to be avoided. And in fact, when you're
mm,
doing a process, I rarely will do that thing where it's like, oh, stop the process because we don't think it's going to reach an ideal perfection. So we should stop investing resources in it. I go, let's continue the process. So the next time we repeat it, we'll have all of the learnings that we need. But yeah, I'm just
mhm,
realizing I love failure. I think failure is
mm,
productive. What do you think, Maya?
Yeah, no, I totally agree. As an educator, I mean, that is part of the learning. Part of and also as a creative person, I feel like the messiness, the falling down, the getting back up, that for me has always been a part of my, my thinking and trying to figure out and the magic that happens when mistakes happen, beautiful mistakes, powerful mistakes. But also this whole this whole issue about, no wanting to make sure that everybody makes it is to me brings up a debate, a larger debate about us as a society trying to bring everybody along, what that actually
Mm.
looks like, who can be, and also the language of war, where the what do you call it, the collateral damage, where we
Mm.
don't think about
Mm.
our, what our actions have caused. So I feel like this is something that we're going to be thinking about throughout this whole season for sure.
Mhm. Mhm.
Mm.
Juicy, juicy.
Indeed, indeed. All right. Well, I'm going to bring us to a close for Trek Table question number 2, just because I feel like this is going to have resonance throughout the rest of our conversation. But thank you for that.
And we also want to thank all of you listening and watching, right? We're here on YouTube. So head to trektable.com if you want to get that first look at the Trek Table questions, the inside scoops, and more. Sign up for our mailing list at www.trektable.com.
And now comes the time in our show, the solemn and serious time where we invite you to wiggle in your seats for a little Star Trek dance break.
A shift, a move, a surge, we feel and manifest. Slide from uncertainty and legend to intent. Interminable imaginaries guided by ancestor strength. Abide by no one's government. We below into the left more. We see more. Whose life is this for?
And welcome back to the Thematix section of this episode of Trek Table number 33, where we're going to get a chance to braid it all together. We've been talking about some things throughout the show. We've had a little bit of it with design. We've talked a little bit about Trek Table questions. I know we have one more, but I wanted to just jump in and let us continue to process this episode, this title for this episode, Kobayashi Maru. It's always been about a no-win situation, but it seems that it's a little bit more in this instance. Claudia, I wonder, you have thoughts about this? Where are you at with Burnham and her Kobayashi Maru?
It might be that I'm a little defensive about this black female captain. I realize going back through my rewatches of Star Trek, Deep Space Nine, The Next Generation, I love every single black captain that they show me. I immediately bond
Mm.
with them, and usually that black captain gets murdered or has disappeared, and we never see them again. So, oh, Michael's my girl. Michael's my girl. So, I'm just mad that they can't just let her lead. Like, you have a
Mm.
show that's about Michael Burnham, but they can't let Michael Burnham just be the captain. Why? Because broader society has to be convinced. And this is me stepping outside of the Star Trek universe and going into
Mm.
our world, our universe that says, or that, with a bunch of the folks who decide that the audience will not accept black leadership
Mm.
unless they make the black character fight for it. I mean, they
Mm.
had Cisco have to be a god before he could be captain of that station. He had to literally be supernatural to justify, in the larger a white gaze, his leadership. So
Mm.
she's proved herself. What else does she
Yeah.
got to do?
Yeah.
That's my
Yeah.
opinion.
Thank you. Maya, thoughts here about Kobayashi Maru, Burnham, the leadership test that she's in right now?
It's super, I first learned about that in the J.J. Abrams movies. So that's my background understanding about that. And we have like the Kirk kind of captain who's like, I'm gonna break the these kinds of rules and always go on the outside, whereas there are other kinds of captains who are a little bit more thoughtful. She seems to be like a kind of a mixture of those, right? That
Mm-hmm.
she believes in the structure to a degree, and then she pushes back constantly, and she's always been a leader all throughout this. She's been a budding leader, she's been on a journey, she's had her leadership question, and she'll probably have her leadership continue to be questioned, right? Because that's part of it seems like this journey that we've been on for the last 3 seasons. um
Mm.
but yeah, I think that I think that that they're not full. They're, Book has a little bit of moment where he's kind of, just he's not questioning her. He's trying to be like, hey, does it always got to be this way or that way?
Mhm.
So I think those questions are valid at the same
Mhm.
time, right?
Mhm.
Absolutely, 100% agree with Claudia about that. About it's like, do we question others,
Mm.
white men or other
Mhm.
people who have been in those positions in the same way? Do we let them mess up? Do we let them fall, challenge the system in different ways? And also,
Mhm.
what is Michael Burnham working from? What is the thing that she brings, and what are the things that she still needs to learn?
Yeah, and I mean I appreciate this conversation. I'm gonna use it as a transition to get into President Relik, but I mean I did appreciate at the Starfleet Academy Open that we get the president saying, this so much of this would not be possible without you, Captain Burnham, and your crew. And I thought it was a good transition to talk about crew, but even in just hearing this, it's like, yeah, Relik again says to her, you have this compunction to try to take on and responsibility hoard how to keep people safe in your world. And I'm like, have you not seen that she's using that reaction for good? Have we not seen that Burnham, yeah, part of me is like, I did wonder, are we getting the Kirk moment where we get the rebellious captain? And in the J.J. Abrams verse, I'm waiting for, some Beastie Boys song to come up as Burnham's like flying down the highway with Book in the back of the ship on the butterfly planet. Like, are we here again? So I just want to say, like, I'm given, we're always going to I'm always going to give Discovery a wide margin of grace. I really want to see what happens. I thought this opener was super hot. I think really powerful also to think about. Now we know on the day that Starfleet Academy was reborn, Kwejan died. Like just so many parallels. And here you have the president of the Federation on this ship. So let's talk a little bit about just really quick, any observations for President Relik? We're about to see her, I think, all season. So really quick, Maya, thoughts on her? Is she feeling like she's supporting Burnham? Does this relationship feel familiar or suspect? What are your thoughts?
I'm really interested to see how that develops, So she's Cardassian, Bajoran, and human.
Mm,
And I want to know more about that, because especially the Kardashians and the Bajorans, what I know from DS9, they were that it was like illegal almost to have mixed children from those two groups, because the Cardassians thought
mm,
that the Bajorans were inferior, and the Bajorans, were fighting back against this colonial structure. So I don't know. I mean, President Relic is definitely going to be that foil, right? Somebody to
mm-hmm,
bounce off of.
mm-hmm. Yes, Claudia, what do you say? Where are you at with this president? Thoughts about her?
Well, I think that with any character that's introduced to me on Star Trek that has any kind of level of authority, I don't trust them. I don't trust them at all. Like, it took me a whole season to be like, okay, Admiral Vance, okay. I'm
Mm,
not going to immediately look twice at every single thing you do. So I
mm,
want to just observe that that's my thing. I that's a thing I bring to this. So yeah, and also just fun drinking game for our entire audience. I might say Cardassian, I might say Kardashian. I might mix them up. You can enjoy that for
mm-hmm,
yourselves. But it is
mm-hmm,
amazing to have somebody who far, far in the future is representative of three races. One race was literally doing genocide to the other, and the
mm-hmm,
humans, for a long time, just watched it happen. Like revisiting the next
mm,
generation. I just was watching it this week. So I've got a real fresh anger at Starfleet
mm,
for not interrupting the genocide of the Bajoran people. And the only
mm,
reason that Star Trek got or Starfleet got involved was because one of their own literally became a spiritual leader of the planet. And through
mm.
that stuff, it saved the whole universe. So anyway, what's her name? She reminded me just a little
Relic. Mm-hmm,
bit. Relic.
mm-hmm,
She's a politician, so she's often doing things that don't feel trustworthy. And she's
mm,
working everyone and working every moment. So she's
mm-hmm,
super calculating, but she wasn't totally wrong in any of her observations. That said,
mm-hmm,
she delayed Captain Burnham. I timed it by 15 seconds the first time and another
mm,
12 seconds the next time. And I go, when did they get hit by that last wave that ruined it all? If they just
mm-hmm.
had another 10 seconds, maybe the
Hmm.
president shouldn't have been interrupting Michael when she was trying to lead.
And as
Ooh.
Michael said, it was more dangerous for her crew. So I'm just thank you for doing the math. We now know. Check table has the receipts on that, so thanks for doing those calculations. Lifting up some things that we're seeing in the chat. Satterfield's like, yeah, she's a politician. Do we trust any of them? Brandon's wondering, is Burnham to Relic who Poe is to
Oh,
Holdo?
Star
This is
Wars.
a Star Wars crossover. So yeah, some deep things. All right. Um, I want to acknowledge that we're in the last topic of thematics. We're winding down in this topic, and it's the twin moments of Kaminar and Quajon, and just what happened in this episode. We're seeing Kaminar kind of fulfill its full potential. On the Trek table last week, we had just in the Hope or Hype show talked about what our hopes were for Quajon, and now that we know Book as an empath can fly this ship, it just felt like all of a sudden we could have, empath training school for all the little kids on Quajon. So I wanted to open it up really quick. Any final thoughts? I know we talked a little bit about Kaminar. Maya, can I come to you first? Your thought about Quajon and or Kaminar, and then Claudia, I'll close that with you.
Both of them give me different feelings. I like the spiritual teachings, or just the cultural teachings from these different places, that remind me of practices that I'm connected to or that I have been a part of, of being that the way that we are connected, with all these roots, especially on Quajon, but then also Saru's speech, really got me in the feels, I think, of kind of opening up, of wanting to protect ourselves in these times and other times, the ways that we can be insular, but really recognizing again, like, our connection is beyond just our own tribe, our own planet, our own people, that we're connected by a solar system, and a sun that everybody needs for different, a whole host of reasons. And then I just really loved Sukal when he's like, Saru, um I'm good. Like, I'm happy, safe, and loved. And I was like, I want to be happy, safe, and loved too. So yeah, Sukal, that moment was really beautiful between the two.
Yes. Thanks for dropping me at college, Dad. I'm good. You can leave. It's kind of how that moment looked to me. Like, I don't know. I don't have
Yeah, like,
children
you
who.
can't protect me forever,
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
you did your thing.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Claudia, I want to invite you to jump in here. Your thoughts about Kaminar, Quajon? Where are you? How you feeling? Are you surprised?
Uh,
Are you?
I'm mad at Alex Kurtzman, y'all. I'm mad at
Mm,
Alex Kurtzman. I'm naming names. I'm dropping names in this episode. Alex, that's right. I'm talking to you, Alex, right now with your first name. Why you always got to be genociding entire planets? Why you got to make that a plot point? This has happened. This is the third time in a Star Trek
mm,
universe. Now, this isn't the Kelvin verse. So the Kelvin verse has experienced this horrible thing. And Alex Kurtzman is just like, you know what? This was really great for the Kelvin verse. Let me make this a plot point in this. And I'm like, don't do it. Stop doing it.
mm,
I watched Star Trek to feel good about myself, and I was dreaming of being on
mm,
that planet. And now I'm going to
mm,
process that pain and loss alongside the characters. I do find that this show is amazing at giving me trauma informed
mhm,
entertainment. So I actually do
mhm,
feel like that Star Trek Discovery is going to hold my
mhm,
hand through this pain. And they weren't just doing a flashy thing to do a flashy thing. I'm still mad at you, Alex. I would prefer a very boring show where only nice things happen. But what you gonna do?
mhm, mhm. It's almost like when Burnham turns to Book and is like, "Do the empathy thing. Do the empathy thing." Like, I wanted to see what that was gonna be for the rest. I mean, we're still gonna get that, but yeah, as an empath, I just was super sad that, I mean, we get Deanna Troy and we get the Betazoids. That's what they're called, right? And so it's just like I was excited about having this, what we at this point knew to be a much more man of color centered empathic world, where we were watching Book and his brother have this life ceremony. I love that Book got to touch the root of the tree that then touches the whole planet. And so just again, our interconnectedness, our interweaving. And so just feeling that celebration. And then just now, yeah, I'm just wondering, like, does Book wish he never reconnect? Like, I'm sure he was happy, just all the loss he's processing, all the loss. So And then just honoring that we live in times where lots of people are honoring loss, processing loss all the time. So again, Star Trek Discovery takes us to places that I think a lot of folks are really hovering in right now. And yeah, Claudia, I want to hold space for we want to see. And I think that's a awesome soft challenge to Alex Kurtzman. Like, can we not genocide any more planets? Can that not be the go-to plot for those writers' rooms? Even can we ask writers for that too? Like, not, and then just to lovingly say, like, yeah, I think in these in our new Star Trek love, like, yeah, what is the new way as we see this new cadre of Star Trek shows? We see what's happening with disco, and people have called it empathy porn. We're curious to see what happens with
Whoa.
all the things. Oh, did you have not heard that? So yes, I've been
No.
on a tangent, but we talked about it. We've talked about it, I think, for season 1 about some people feel like disco is empathy porn, and I'm like, we don't get all the empathy we need, but yeah, I'm gonna
I
have some
mean,
empathy.
I know, like,
Go ahead.
last week I mentioned in my hype that, that it was like, Grey's Anatomy. It's not Grey's Anatomy is something I've watched somewhat, and sometimes I can't take all the emotions in it. So maybe that was part of,
Mm,
but it's also not, it's a
mhm.
different type of storytelling, and I don't know. I mean, drama is what makes good storytelling. So I'm here for
Yes.
drama, and loss is a really human thing, and media, can either help or hinder some of that. So it's not always
Yeah.
just about, like, yes, the planet exploded. My hope is that some people got off the planet. We didn't get to
Mm,
see the minutes before and after.
mm,
Um, Eh, but but yeah, that's going to shape, like, the people
mhm,
being separated from their homelands in violent
mhm.
ways is going to shape, the politics of the future.
For real. And that is Thematix on Star Trek Discovery season 4 episode 1, Maya. I feel like that is
Whew.
actually an excellent way to end this segment. Thank you so much. Really, really, yeah, deep conversation. Oh, let's see where we go this season. Mhm.
And now that brings us to our third and final Trek table question. The station is squiddled. That's a really fun piece of space slang. So, what are your favorite space slangs? Please comment in the chat. We're going to talk about space slangs, and guess what? You can use even non-Star Trek slang. I'm going to let you. You can sample from all of the things you're always mentioning on this show. So you can give us some Dune slang, some Harry Potter slang. I'm ready for your Lords of the Rings slang. What's your favorite? What's your favorite fiction slang?
Mira que regresa el maldito. Viene con las manos llenitas de piedra que no quiere arrojar.
Welcome back to Trek Table question number 3. The station is squiddled. Squiddled is a fun piece of Star Trek slang that's kind of naughty, right? So I'm wondering, what are your favorite pieces of space slang? Dela is someone who has said out loud that you are a polyamorous sci-fi lover. I figure you might have some space slangs to share with
Mhm.
us. Like I said, Star Trek or non is okay.
Mhm. I mean, in terms of Star Trek, I love so much of what I think of in terms of our culture right now is space slang, like beam me up Scotty, and you know, um, you know, engage, just the way that we use it. But I will say in a non Star Trek world, one of my favorites is it certainly has to be the word frel from Farscape, and how
Oh,
yeah,
Frelling.
you don't want to, things are frelled up. So yeah, so I would say frel is probably my other piece of.
And
And then I was just like, I mean, I do like space slang from Star Wars, but I'm not in that mind right now. I'm just like so in
mhm.
my Star Trek world. So yeah, beam me up, Scotty. Engage. I'm really loving being able to say let's fly. Like, ugh. And then I love that also on this episode, Tilly says, "Isn't it so lucky other people don't have to put up with space time shenanigans?" So yeah, I'm up for space time shenanigans from Tilly and Burnham.
Yes.
Mhm,
You
mhm,
just get out of my head, Dela, because my space slang was a synonym, I guess, for your space slang, and I am pulling from Battlestar Galactica, the reboot, where they were always
mm,
saying frack all the time. Like, that's all
mhm,
fracked up. You gotta get the frackin' friggin' frack. And I was like, That's really good. And it's entered into my vocabulary. So sometimes I will say something's all fracked up. I lost
Mhm.
Frel, though. Frel is
Mhm.
fun. That's a lot of
Mhm.
fun. Also, do you
Mhm.
remember oh gosh, they were always using like these cool like Chinese kind of sounding
Mhm.
sounds.
Oh, and
What
Firefly.
yeah,
I was like,
yeah.
"Oh, Firefly." Yes, there are some winners. Any of our friends in the chat got Firefly slang or any more Farscape slang? I'm here for it. And then is there like different slang? I mean, I haven't seen Enterprise as a series yet. So I was like, is there a special slang on Enterprise? Because I mean, I know words enter the Star Trek vocabulary and the Star Trek lexicon when we get like the Borg became a thing, right? Or Zahia was a thing from Star Trek Discovery. So I'm curious if there's any words that we've learned in Enterprise.
I'm realizing though that this is I just had a Star Trek epiphany, everyone, and it's this. This is why I have been so annoyed when I hear a real Star Trek or Star Trek's a weird swear word, a real swear word that we use in our world on Star Trek. It makes me mad and upset. It
Mm,
bothers me. When they did it on Picard, I did several Twitter rants being like, "What's up with that? That's weird and wrong, and why is an admiral dropping
mm,
squares like that?" But also,
mhm,
why does this exist in that universe? And I'm realizing it's because I want them to say Frel. I want them to say frack. I
mm,
want them to indicate that
mhm,
swear words had some kind of linguistic movement. Yeah?
mhm, mhm, mhm.
Hey
Yes,
Maya, do you see
yes.
anything in the chat?
Yeah, we also had that Satterfield was also going to say frack, so um, wasn't going to
Yeah.
say grok, but I don't know where that one's from. Oh, grok, stranger from a strange land.
Oh, wait a
Mhm,
second. Grok to understand something. I didn't realize that was a sci-fi slang.
Oh,
mm,
yes. And then I don't know, like I know that I should know more, and I probably even use more just from cartoons, to everything, but yeah, there's just so many kind of quotable actual words and then made up words. I want to come back to this at some point.
Amazing. Well, definitely, I will invite us to. I mean, I feel like there's always different Star Trek questions every single week, but we can revisit
mhm.
a couple. Like, I enjoyed the shipping question. We might return to that one too. But that brings us to a close for our Trek Table questions for this Trek Table episode number 33.
And we're back here on the Trek Table, and we are in our segment called Signal Boost. We strive to hold space for Black, Indigenous, Brown women of color, and here are some resources that amplify or highlight some of the work of women of color content creators, community builders, and world shapers. Maya, can I invite you to share the first?
Yes, we'd like you to check out one of our favorite bands. We talk about them a lot, but Quetzal has a new album out called Puentes Sonoros or Sonic Bridges. They're a Grammy winning East LA band, and these musicians sort of stand at the center of transnational and transformative son jarocho practice, bridging rural life of Veracruz, Mexico. With contemporary Chicano sensibilities of urban struggle for freedom and self-determination. So there are, there's the percussive, the traditional strings, zapateado blend with Afro diasporic R&B and bata, drawing from all these cultural roots that craft echoes of the future. So check out their new album at Quetzal Music on Instagram.
Yes, thank you so much. We're so grateful to Quetzal and our friends there for all the music they share with us. Our second signal boost of today is just an internal Trek Table signal boost. Last week we did a hope and hype episode, and we talked about all the characters we were hoping and hyping about, and we did not mention Michael Burnham because we have a special segment just for her. So here is a hope and a hype from Maya Mama, our Trek Table co-host. She has got this amazing new segment, Popcorn Burnham. So just like popcorn recap, my mama's going to tell us Michael Burnham's story in 2 minutes. So check that link in the chat or in your episode notes so that you can get all the info on Burnham's early life as you meet her in season 4.
We'd also like to uplift Juliana Lowe, a VR world builder for social spaces, who specializes in spatial design and art. Her work has been featured in Burning Man VR 2021, Vancouver International Film Festival, Queensland XR Festival, and you can see her work now as part of the 41st annual Hawaii International Film Festival, where she's one of this year's HIFF XR Artist Spotlights. Audiences all over the globe can check out the piece at hiff.org. The link will be dropped in the chat.
And we want to say thank you so much for all of you joining us today for this 33rd episode of the Trek Table as we unpack season 4, episode 1 of Star Trek Discovery, the Kobayashi Maru. And as is the case at the end of every episode, we ask our team to go and share one final thought. Today, I'm going to ask Maya, can you go first? Your final thought for this episode.
Oh, so many thoughts, but I'm going to try to hone them down. With Burnham, luck is being ready. I'm ready for more, being ready and her type of luck. And going on this need to save everyone and what that really means. Also, I just want to bring back, I knew it. I knew that Grudge being a queen was going to come up somewhere. I feel like the writers have been listening to me. They or that, they, it's okay. Like I allow that. If you need more ideas, I'm here for you. But yes, the fearless Catus Domesticus monarch queen is not a captive as far as we know. She seems pretty free, and I hope we get to see and hear more from her, with her, just her looks. Man, she's got looks, and she's thick. And then also just science, man. I feel like that's going to be an issue to pay attention to, this second edition spore drive. So, all of that, I don't know. It's science is great. Science is good. It helps us keep, scientific questions are good to ask. And I'm glad that they have kept us safe and able to, come back together. But also science has in the wrong hands, it has a history.
There you go. Thank you so much, Maya. Claudia, your final thoughts for season 4, episode 1?
Well, I'm deeply, deeply excited about seeing all of season 4 right this minute, and I'm upset that they only give us one episode a week. I would like for them to give me 5 seasons in one day so I can just binge them like I do the Star Trek The Next Generation. I love that they gave me what I thought I wanted, what I was expecting, and they're also twisting stuff. Like I see that they're setting me up for they're writing for a genre savvy audience. They're writing for a Star Trek nerds that watch every episode like 5 times and like to game out what we think is going to happen. I see them writing for us so that we can all have a really enjoyable viewing experience. So I'm not sure what's going to happen next, but I gotta find out. So I can't wait to talk to y'all next week.
Yes, I'm so excited. I'm gonna share my final thought today and just say that I just deeply resonated with finally seeing Burnham be able to sit in that chair. It felt super powerful after 3 seasons of the will she, when is it her turn? Why is she running away? It was super powerful to see her not running away. It was powerful to see her interact with her crew and just hop in that chair and be like, well, isn't that a hell of a thing? And all the different moments that we get from Burnham embodying her captain self. And so today I'm really resonating and thinking about how do we make more space for more people in our world to embody their center and embody their power? Because it was remarkable to see that now the USS Discovery has shields that are so strong, they got to extend to the space station they were trying to protect. And so it just feels like another amazing metaphor for Burnham. She was always going to be that leader who is going to try to share her her shield with anybody around. And so I'm so looking forward to us seeing her interact with this crew and be present. And I see also how she's going to have to be there for Book and this huge loss that we felt on Quajan. So those are my final thoughts for this episode, for Star Trek Discovery Season 4, Episode 1, Kobayashi Maru.
We hope that you will join us on November 28th when we talk about Season 4, Episode 2 of Star Trek Discovery Anomaly, which premieres on November 25th. Thanksgiving Day here in the US. And as always, folks in the US and Canada can catch this and all the episodes of Star Trek Discovery on Paramount Plus.
And we're still holding Trek Space for all the fans not in the US and Canada who have to wait till 2022 and cannot see these episodes. We're holding space for you. We're there for you. Yes. And we want to say thank you so much for joining us at this Trek Table. We want to invite you to get first looks at Trek Table questions, inside scoops, and more when you sign up at our mailing list at trektable.com.
Find Trek Table Podcasts on iTunes, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and wherever you get your podcasts.
Like and subscribe to this channel so that you can get more Star Trek into your algorithms.
And like and subscribe on Instagram at Trek Table, all one word, and on Twitter at Trek_table.
All right. And finally, I want to say thank you so much to this Trek Table assembled here today. Thank you all so much for holding down this ritual. Thanks to our friends in the chat. And thanks, of course, to our house band, Quetzal, for this amazing music today and every day. And of course, thank you to you, Claudia Alick and Maya Chinchilla. Thank you for sharing your insights and your thoughts and your energy with us today. As we started the show, we were holding Trek Space for those who fly and those who say, let's fly, aka Michael Burnham and all those women of color leaders who are finally getting to sit in, stand at, and embody their leadership chair. We've been holding Trek Space for the joyful beginning of a ride. And we've been holding Trek Space for international Trek fans who have suddenly been separated from the Federation and have probably had to create their own syndicate to watch the new season via VPNs. The Trek Table is produced by executive producers Alison De La Cruz and Luz Minda Jadiwala, production coordinator Brendan Chang, stream manager Ariana Michelle, social media manager and chat moderator Isil Borlasa, and our social media associate Jimena Martinez.
Deep gratitude and thanks to Outside In Theater, with extra thanks to Paul, Matt, Jessica, Danny, and Tamlin.
Thanks to Dr. Deborah Carter, Doc Zulu, and Nancy Yap, and our partners at Visual Communications.
Yes, we also want to say thanks to our content partners at Calling Up Justice. Thanks to Claudia, Maya Mama, and Callie.
Trek Table is a service mark of De La Projects, LLC.
Yes, and we want to say thank you so much, everybody, for joining us today at the Trek Table. Let's go ahead and close this ritual today one more time. Go ahead and plant your feet flat on the floor, grab your canes, and go ahead and take a breath in through your nose and out through your mouth. And as we've said, we hope that you will join us next Sunday, November 28th, as we dive deep into Anomaly, Season 4, Episode 2 of Star Trek Discovery. So, Trek Table, let's assemble next Sunday again here at 4 o'clock on the Outside In Theater YouTube channel. We'll be holding Trek Space for you until then. Have a great week. See you later.